What's going on, everybody? And I hope you've had a fantastic Tuesday so far and you're enjoying your Tuesday evening. This is MYG Jeffy T85 here, and I'm just going to give everybody a quick injury update on some of the players that have been banged up that are returning back from injury going forward. During his press conference today, Brian Daboll pretty much ran down all the injuries that have happened for the New York Giants in terms of who could possibly be on their way back, as well as who might still be on the mend and who probably is not returning this year. Now, first off, I'm going to start out with Xavier McKinney. And Xavier McKinney actually did an interview himself where he was talking about the unfortunate accident that happened with him in Cabo, St. Lucas, Mexico, where he got into an ATV accident and he's been placed on the reserve non-football injury list, and he's going to miss at least the next 4 weeks. He actually ended up having surgery on a couple of fractured fingers on his hand, and he definitively said he does not know if he's going to return this season. That's not exactly the best answer you want. That's not exactly the most comforting answer you want to hear from one of your anchors back there in the secondary, is that he might not know if he could even return for the rest of the season after having surgery on his hand. It's not a good look for him. It's not a good look for the team. And obviously, Brian Daboll says that he feels bad for McKinney. He feels sad about the injury that happened to McKinney. And what makes it worse, McKinney was the one wearing the green dot on his helmet. He was the one calling the defense. Well, with McKinney out right now, Julian Love has now taken over the one calling the defense, and Julian Love will now be the one wearing the green dot on his head to call the defense going forward in place of Xavier McKinney. So right now, not the most encouraging words to hear from Xavier McKinney. The fact that he said he had surgery on a couple of broken, fractured fingers on his hand, and that might be that he could possibly miss the rest of the season. Not what you want to hear, but we'll have to wait and see. He's at least going to miss 4 weeks. Possibility he could return sometimes around that Washington or Philadelphia game when the Giants start playing their divisional rivals. Now, in terms of some of the other guys that have been banged up, obviously we know about what happened with defensive tackle Nick Williams. He ended up tearing his biceps during the game against Seattle, so he's going to be out pretty much for the rest of the season. He's obviously not going to be here. That's why the Giants signed Aaron Crawford to their practice squad. He's a former Baltimore Raven. He's obviously going to be a guy that can use his defensive tackle depth. So wish the best for Nick Williams. Another player that looks doubtful to return is Aaron Robinson, who's pretty much been on IR since he got injured in the Chicago Bears game all the way back in Week 4 when he ended up injuring his knee in the first half of that game. And it just sounds like, according to Brian Daboll, that he does not think that Aaron Robinson will be able to return from that injury. And he even said he called it doubtful that Aaron Robinson will return. So that's going to put a lot more pressure on guys like Fabian Morneau, Cor'Dale Flott, and some of the other players. And speaking of Flott, Brian Daboll did say that he is hopeful that wide receiver Kenny Golladay, outside linebacker Oshane Ximenes, and cornerback Cor'Dale Flott will make their return this week against the Houston Texans, as all three of these guys are expected to be limited participants at least at practice this coming Wednesday, tomorrow. So that's a good sign, at least, that we might be seeing a couple of these players on the mend, possibly making the return for the New York Giants going forward. But the two players that are obviously not going to be scheduled to be at practice and not practice at all is offensive tackle, right tackle Evan Neal, and of course tight end Daniel Bellinger. Bellinger is pretty much going to be out until possibly the Thanksgiving game. Timetable might say he could be back around week 12, week 13. He could be back around that time when the Giants start playing their rivals in the NFC East. Maybe if he makes it back a little bit earlier, he could return around the Dallas game, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm not expecting it. And in terms of Evan Neal, he obviously has the sprained MCL. He's got about a 4-week timetable since he got injured against Jacksonville. That would put him in at least around the time where he could be back by the Thanksgiving game, around when they play against Dallas. Maybe they hold him out for the week after. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen with Evan Neal. But those two players, Daniel Bellinger and Evan Neal, will not be back. Though he did say that Ben Bredeson, hopefully he's going to have, so that they're going to open up his window for a possible return when he gets back from injury. Another player that Brian Daboll was talking about is guard Shane Lemieux, who is activated now. He's been officially activated from injured reserve when he ended up having surgery on his toe during the first preseason game against the New England Patriots in that first half of that game. He's been out pretty much the entire season. He's been designated for return, and he's going to try to get some reps with the team this week at least to see how he looks, and then they'll go from there to figure out if he could be activated and added into the offensive line mix. If anything, right now the Giants are playing third-round rookie offensive guard Joshua Ezeudu, who from North Carolina at left guard for the injured Brent Bredeson. But when you get Bredeson back and when you get Lemieux back, and then obviously you already have Nick Gates back, that offensive line is going to get a lot deeper as we go. Another person that is right now in concussion protocol, obviously we know Richie James right now is in concussion protocol as we speak. So Richie James right now, he looks like he might actually end up losing his return spot, as the Giants have been practicing a bunch of other players in that return game right now, including Wan'Dale Robinson and Darnay Holmes, who have been taking over at that punt returning duties for a guy like Richie James, who right now is in concussion protocol, and he will be in the red jersey for the New York Giants and will not be participating in practice at least tomorrow until he can clear concussion protocol. But even if he does, Richie James might have just lost his return spot, and the Giants are pretty much just going to try to revolve around a bunch of players to see who might fit the best in terms of who could be the punt returner / kick returner going forward for the New York Giants. Also, Gary Brightwell, who's been handling a bunch of punt return or kick returns, he could be the guy that could eventually take that spot as the primary punt returner too. So that's one thing that the Giants are going to be looking at as well. But those are pretty much all the injury updates surrounding the New York Football Giants this week. Injury updates on the statuses of guys like Xavier McKinney, Kenny Golladay, Oshane Ximenes, Shane Lemieux, Matt Parrott. There's nothing really been on Matt Parrott. Matt Parrott has been the one guy. His window for 21-day activation, as well as Rodarius Williams. These guys right now, they're in that 21-day activation, but there hasn't really been a lot of news on these two guys, as both of them are coming back from torn ACLs, but it seems like their recovery is going a little bit slower compared to some of these other players that are coming back from serious injuries. So right now, there's your updates on Golladay, Shane Lemieux, Aaron Robinson, Xavier McKinney, Nick Williams, Richie James, a couple of other players, Evan Neal, as well as Daniel Bellinger. All these guys injury updates for the New York Giants as we head into this game against the Houston Texans and we go towards the rest of the season. So that's just your injury update for the New York Giants injured players during Brian Daboll's press conference. First press conference for the New York Giants since they had their trade deadline talk last Tuesday. So if you guys like this video, please hit the like button below. Sub up if you haven't already to NYGJeffyT85 for more breaking news, injury and roster updates, plus chatter surrounding the New York Giants. Turn on the bell for notifications on the next video or short surrounding the New York Giants. And let me know in the comment section what you think about the brief press conference that Brian Daboll gave this afternoon, talking about all the recent injury updates for the New York Giants and who might be on their way back and who's going to either be out for the season or who might be a little bit more ways away before they make their return to the New York Giants on the football field. So I thank you very much, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday evening. Take it easy, and as always, let's go New York Football Giants. Together Blue, everyone.